Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a very special, very gay episode of the Metal Meltdown. Gay as in both happy and also literally gay, because today we are talking about some of the best LGBTQ plus metal bands and icons of all time, with the help of a few very special LGBTQ plus content creators from here on YouTube. And also myself, because, you know, it is my channel after all. This is a video we've been working on for a while. It was originally planned to debut on June 28th, which is internationally recognized as Pride Day for LGBTQ plus people. That did not happen for a slew of reasons I do not have the time to get into, but that's okay. Because as it turns out, I don't need a special day, a special time of the year to honor and celebrate queer music and queer people. I can do that whenever the fuck I want. So here's how it's going to work, ladies and gentlemen. I've invited a couple LGBTQ plus content creators from here on YouTube to talk about some really great heavy metal that just so happens to feature some really great queer people. Those content creators in question are Melanie Loves Death Metal and the Metal Tempest. I actually have not seen their contributions until literally right now. Like, I'm going to pause the recording, watch their shit, and then fucking come back and add my own picks to this video. So I guess we'll be learning in real time what bands they believe are quintessential to queer metal, I guess. Yeah, does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyways, once they've said their shit, I will say my shit, and then in the comments I want you to tell me about some really great rock and metal and hardcore and punk bands that just so happen to feature some really great LGBTQ plus people. I hope that makes sense. And I also hope it doesn't anger you, but just in case it does, do not waste your time with any homophobic or sexist or transphobic comments, because I'm just gonna delete all of them. I have no fucking patience for your goddamn bullshit today, and if that bothers you, too fucking bad. Eat my shit.
Hey Robert, Melanie from Melanie Loves Death Metal here. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak for your video. As an open lesbian in the death metal scene, this was really important for me to take part in. So the three bands that I listen to that I absolutely love, with some LGBTQA members in them, obviously number one goes to Cynic with Sugarbog. If many people did not know this, but Cameron Bog recently came out, I think within the last 2 years, in an interview after they had signed with Century Media about how he was a queer non-binary member. And he made a really impactful quote I want to just quickly call out in this interview. And it really hit home for me, made me feel really good about the future of this community as a death metal community. He goes to call out that there's too much negativity in the scene, and that he wants to make it a more open and accepting community for the LGBT members. So again, Cynic with Sugarbog, Cameron Bog, thank you guys so much. I love the music that you're making. It's fun. And yeah, the second band that I absolutely love, and obviously this is probably what most people are going to say, is Judas Priest, Rob Halford. Legendary band, has been one of my all-time favorite bands for as long as I can remember. And I remember the first time I ever heard that he was an openly gay man. And I just remember that really sticking with me. I was very young and I was not openly out yet to any of my friends or family, so it was a very welcoming and really welcoming thing to think about, to know that there was this huge metal powerhouse, this guy who was just so legendary, that has made the most amazing music in the metal scene, and he's just out and he's proud and he's happy for who he is, and he's not ashamed. And that was really awesome to see. It's still to this day, it just is one of the things that I respect. And of course it's Judas Priest. They fucking roll. And then finally the third band, pretty much probably a no-brainer here, Gorgoroth Gall from Gorgoroth, black metal band. Black metal can be a very touchy political scene, as everybody knows. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of hatred, and a lot of people claim that black metal should be a hatred type of genre, but Gall from Gorgoroth has openly come out as gay within, I don't know how many years ago, and he has, that again is one of those things that has made me feel good as a whole, and he, just it's one of those things, black metal, again, it's not something that you have to you hear very often. Same thing with Cameron in the death metal scene as well. So I think he's iconic for doing that, and his music is fantastic. Black metal music. Antichrist is one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. So again, those are the three bands. Hopefully not too cliche here. I do hope that, in the near future, more and more members start to come out and try to have more acceptance in the community. So yeah, that's all that I have. And thank you again for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, hi. So, my name is Alex, but you guys know me as J Morris the Review Guy on YouTube, and one of my best friends in this community that I have followed for years now, and vice versa, Robert, invited me to talk a little bit about some members that are part of the LGBTQ+ community in the heavy metal niche. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to Robert for having me on this channel. I am really excited to use the platform to talk about a couple of the bands and members that I hold dear to my heart, and that I think challenge the conceptions of what heavy metal really means and what it means to people. I personally have been known to talk about this issue many times on my own channel, and that will lead me into, in a moment, talking a little bit about myself and introducing myself from my own perspective. But I wanted to just praise Robert for a moment and thank him for the work in progress that he has put into this niche by challenging so many different conceptions and things that have been well endowed into the roots of this niche for so many years. I understand that there is such a traditional outlook that so many people hold, and it sort of contrasts with the progressive outlook, but I think that in the middle ground there is definitely a lot of progress that has been made. So the reason that I got invited to this channel is I am a double threat in terms of the LGBTQ+ community. I've talked about it on my channel, and those of you that have followed my channel for years will know that I am a part of the LGBTQ+ community. So the first thing is I am pansexual, which basically what that means in its clearest definition is I can form a romantic or sexual or emotional attachment to anyone on a relationship level, regardless of their birth gender, their identity, their genitals, whatever it may be. So I can form that sort of attachment in a relationship with anyone regardless of their birth gender or what they may identify as. And the other thing that I do not like to give a label online for the most part is I do consider myself gender non-conforming, and to be honest, anyone that's watched me for years, this won't really come as a surprise. The way I conduct myself, my mannerisms, the nail polish, the clothes, I definitely have a lot of non-conforming tendencies, and personally, it's something that I've come out of my shell a lot with over the years. I personally grew up in an environment that not necessarily shunned it, but filled my head with a lot of different opinions on what I should be and what that means. And the negative connotations that that carried on throughout my entire life really stifled me as a human, and through my identity, it prevented me from finding any progress and strength and will to be able to explore who I am and what I wish to look like and talk like and be. And on this platform, I was very scared for a long period of time to express that in any way, because this was a platform that sort of had a lot of deep ingrained like homophobia and transphobia, ambiphobia, and just a variety of very harsh outlooks from people that had a traditional outlook. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they are wrong or hateful or spiteful, it just means that they're uneducated and misguided. I never want to rip away anyone from having their own beliefs, whether it be religiously or personally, because I am religious as well, but I, at the same time, never think that anyone should be attacked for who they are. I've found a lot of strength in myself over the years in this community to understand that it's okay to challenge these topics and talk about these issues that mean a lot to me and mean a lot to me as a person. And through my platform, I have tried my best to put my best foot forward of who I am, and it's helped other people, and it's given other people a voice. And to be honest, I don't personally care what people think. I might not look the part or sound the part or dress the part or whatever it may be, or whatever, however you categorize, box me in, or decide to define me. I'm who I am, and people that are going to enjoy my content and what I put forward are going to respect me and are going to enjoy it regardless of what I am. And the people that aren't and are going to define me by what I look like or what I sound like, what I dress like, are people that I don't want a part of my channel to begin with. So the main meat of what this video was entailed is I was asked to talk about 3 different members of a band that I believe represent the LGBTQ+ community, and I have tried to gather 3 that I think will be a very diverse group of people, one of which I think is someone that everyone knows, but people might not understand that he is gay, and that is Rob Halford of Judas Priest. So Rob Halford, the lead frontman of one of the most popular, acclaimed, highest selling, and just praised heavy metal bands, classic traditional heavy metal bands, Judas Priest. So he came out in 1998, I believe, and he had been very scared to come out for a variety of years. In the 70s and 80s, he talked about how counterculture had really prevented him from living his truth and sort of being himself, because he always felt like the community was going to bury him and he was going to lose his fan base. And even in the 90s, he was afraid that if he came out of the closet, that even though he wanted that liberation and freedom, it wasn't going to be able to retain his fan base for Judas Priest. And he made a really funny comment that I found when I was researching this today. He literally said that if Freddie Mercury hadn't have been gay, Queen wouldn't have been the same band. That who you are and your identity influences your music and influences who you are in ways you might not know. And Rob Halford, in my opinion, is important because he challenges what is necessarily viewed as a frontman of a heavy metal band. Freddie Mercury, for all he was worth, even though he made all these anthems, he was a very flamboyant man. He wore pantsuits and he wore these tight women's pants and these but he was still a man. He was still masculine, but I think Rob Halford takes that to the next level degree, because I don't think that anyone would fuck with Rob Halford or tell him that he's not masculine or tell him that he's a sissy or not enough or doesn't fit the part. And that's what I think is important. It comes in all shapes and sizes, and whether you're talking about a frontman like Freddie Mercury or like Rob Halford, it's really awesome to see him challenge those things and finally be able to live his truth and come out of the closet in that way. And it was really awe-inspiring because he's not necessarily what you would define as it, and I think that challenges our own conceptions of what we think masculinity is and what we think femininity is. Men specifically are held to a different standard when they are gay or when they are part of the LGBT community, and they're expected to be this caricature, be this stereotype of what a gay man is viewed as. Gay men can be just as masculine, just as muscular, just as badass, and just as exhilarating as any man that is straight or that is anything else, and I think Rob Halford definitely encapsulates this. The next person that I want to mention is the front woman for one of my favorite bands right now, that being Connie Sgarbossa of the band See You Space Cowboy. I did a whole video essay on these guys if you want to check it out on my channel. I'm very proud of it. Connie is a trans woman, and I am not entirely sure of her sexuality. Something in my head is telling me that she is a lesbian, but I might not be remembering this correctly, but I know for a fact that she is a trans woman. And trans women have had a very interesting stay in this community. There's not that many of them, but they have always gotten so much scrutiny. The one that I can think of that comes to my mind besides Connie as an honorable mention would be Hunter Hunt Hendricks of the band Liturgy, but that's mostly because people hate Liturgy as is and they just look for a reason to hate her. Connie Sgarbossa is the front woman of the band See You Space Cowboy, which is a hardcore punk and sort of emo post-hardcore band that are reviving a style called sasscore, which basically in its normal definition is a post-hardcore or an emo screamo band that boasts LGBTQ+ members or has these sort of whimpery sort of vocalists. But Connie Sgarbossa is a trans woman, and She's went on the record saying that she doesn't necessarily want to fit in a specific box. She doesn't try to alter her voice or the way she dresses or acts, and she's very tomboyish. And even though trans women are sort of expected to present and act in an extremely feminine way and dress in an extremely feminine way, trans women are not defined by their voices, they are not defined by their clothing, and they are not defined by how much or how little you believe they pass. And Connie has really shown herself to be an amazing front woman, an amazing vocalist of a project that really lets her air out her concerns. The band has also written songs and entire tracks that deal with LGBTQ plus dilemmas and issues, and I really appreciate that. One of their most popular music videos boasts a lot of LGBTQ plus couples, and Connie herself has really defended and advocated for the rights of not only trans women but other LGBTQ plus people. And I think that she is one of the best examples of a trans woman living her truth in the heavy metal niche. And the final person that I'm going to mention, and once again, this is a very popular and renowned and respected musician that people might not know, I'm going to put Gaul on your radar. Yes, Gaul, the black metal musician that was the frontman of Gorgoroth, that is part of, I'm trying to think, Wardruna, and there are so many bands that he has been a part of. Galskag, he is one of the most hardcore black metal musicians. Black metal is a niche that people oftentimes associate with violence, with hate, with spite, with rage, with Satanism. And when you look at the niche, whether it be Varg or whether it be Euronymous or Dead or Necro Butcher or whoever it may be, it definitely seems like a very unwelcoming genre. And you know what Gaul has said? Fuck you, I'm gay. That's literally what he's pretty much said. I've seen interviews on the dude. He's probably the person that I know the most on this list in terms of interviews, and he is also, in my opinion, if I remember correctly, I also think he is a vegan. He's just a very free-loving man and a free-loving spirit, and while he has been associated with controversy in the religious aspects, Gaul is an openly gay man. And even though black metal is seen as an unwelcoming genre, he has said before that he has never personally dealt with so much from his fellow people that they have let him live his life, and that he has certainly dealt with a lot of controversy and a lot of scrutiny for who he is, but it's never dictated how much of a man he is. He still looks and dresses and acts just as much of black metal, if not more, than 99% of the rest of the niche. So anyone who would think that Gaul is not a man because of how gay he is, or think he is not a prime example of black metal, you're just not paying enough attention. He very much clearly is. But as a whole, I think that's going to wrap it up. There are so many honorable mentions that I could make, or other bands or artists. Do your own research, and all I have to say is, you never know the impact you're making on someone else, whether it be in real life or on the other side of the screen. Let people be whoever the fuck they want to be. It doesn't rain on your parade. It doesn't change your day. It doesn't change what you're supposed to do. Be yourself, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't be fearful. Don't be pushed into silence. You have to live your truth in this world. Thank you so much, Robert, for having me on this video. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. If you want to check out my channel, feel free. It's Jay Morris, the Review Guy. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Oh my god, wow, look at that, look at that. They did the thing. They told us about a couple really cool fucking bands. I did not know that both of them had selected Judas Priest and Gaul from Gorgoroth for their lists, but hey, that's fine. If anything, that just proves the influence and the power of these people and their respective discographies, so fuck it. They thanked me for asking them to be a part of this, which I think is awesome. You're welcome. But also, thank you for just being you. Thank you for putting yourself out on the line and being out there and being here. That's fucking rad. It takes kahunas to be a little bit different on the internet, because the internet is a fucking unforgiving wasteland of stupidity sometimes. So thank you for being brave, for being strong, for being you, and for being you, most importantly. Round of applause. Anna, round of applause. Round of applause, louder. There we go, that's a little better. There we go, good job, Anna.
You're welcome.
Alright, so my turn, I guess. And I promise I won't have fucking Judas Priest or fucking Gorgoroth on here. One band I want to talk about right off the bat is Cynic. And I'm actually shocked that neither Melanie Loves Death Metal nor the metal Tempest had mentioned Cynic. I figured right off the bat one of them would have. But hey, whatever. That means I get to talk Cynic. And I like that, because I like Cynic. Cynic is an American metal band that's gone through a few different phases and styles. Originally, they were a more straightforward kind of death metal band. Then its core members, Paul Masvidal and Sean Reinhart, who are both openly gay, they worked with Death on Human, and then they did the first Cynic record, Focus, which saw them doing more of a technical death metal, progressive death metal, jazz fusion kind of thing with vocoder vocals and all these weird guitar patterns and shit. And then they disbanded, and then they did a project called Portal for a bit, which had an album that was never officially released, except then it was, but as a Cynic album named The Portal Tapes many years later. Cynic would then reform in the mid-2000s, gradually scraping away more and more death metal influence, but continuing to release pretty awesome music like Traced in Air, Kindly Bent to Free Us, Carbon-Based Anatomy. Unfortunately, Sean passed away in 2020, but Paul is still out there, still making music with Cynic. In fact, their most recent studio album, Ascension Codes, I called one of the best prog metal albums of 2021. Anna and Chompy, they put it on their top 10 list last year. Do you remember that?
I do.
Wow! Look at you, remembering stuff.
Yeah.
Good for you. Great band, great musicians, definitely check them out if you somehow have not already. Next up, I want to tell you about Liturgy, a progressive and experimental black metal band from Brooklyn, New York, the brainchild of Hunter Hunt Hendricks, an openly transgender woman. Liturgy has consistently been responsible for some pretty convoluted and admittedly pretentious material. Anyone arguing otherwise is simply not paying attention. Like, there's a lot of different concepts and themes. The music is very angular, very experimental, very out there. A lot of talk about philosophy and the stars and all kinds of other fucking nonsense that I frankly do not have the mental capacity to fully understand. But damn, when they hit fucking hard. Like, Hack was a fucking incredible record. Origin of the Alimonies was incredibly ambitious. Like, say whatever the fuck you want about Liturgy. You can say that they're a fucking hipster band. You can say that they're too weird, too progressive, too whatever. You're kind of right. Honestly, you are. But don't call them lazy. They aren't even a little bit fucking lazy. They aren't meat and potatoes. They aren't your average fucking rock or metal band. They create really wild, far-out fucking nonsense, and I respect the ever-living shit out of what they do. And finally, I'm gonna tell you about kind of two bands, but they're operated and led by the same guy, so two birds, one stone. We're going to talk about Torch or Torche and Floor, both of which feature a gentleman by the name of Steve Brooks and Openly Gay Man. Both of these bands kind of operate in like that doom sludge territory. They both have like a lot of big melodies and a lot of crushing riffs, but whereas Torch or Torche, or however the fuck their name is pronounced, is, I would say, heavier. I would say that Floor is more melancholic, more dreamy, more atmospheric. Their last studio album, Oblation, which I'm shocked to learn is 8 years old by now, holy shit, was an incredibly colorful and dreamy display of catchy, slick and smooth doom and sludge. I would say that I prefer Floor over Torch, but I mean, they've done some pretty awesome stuff as well. 2012's Harmonicraft in particular, I would argue, is legit one of the best sludge metal records ever made. And other records like Restarter and Admission, while not quite as strong in my opinion, still offer plenty of gnarly fucking riffs and grooves and sludgy doomy tunes. So yeah, Floor, Torch, or Torche, whatever, both of them features Steve Brooks. Check them both out. They're both fucking great bands, featuring the talent of one great man. Yes. Okay. And boom, there we go. Talked about a bunch of bands. Hell yeah. Now it's your fucking turn. Tell me all about some really great bands that happen to feature some really great queer people. Tell me, right now, I fucking command you. Thank you once again to Melanie Loves Death Metal and the Metal Tempest for being here. Check out both of their channels if y'all somehow have not already. Subscribe to mine if you somehow haven't already. Fuck it, why not? I'll put the little button right here. You can press that. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.